The house was finally quiet. Jacob sank into the worn-out couch, the soft hum of the baby monitor his only company. His little girl had fought sleep for hours, and now, he could finally breathe. He rubbed his eyes, exhausted from another long day of being dad, cook, cleaner, and provider all in one. Then, a knock. Soft at first, then again, louder, urgent. Jacob frowned. Who could it be at this hour? He glanced at the clock, 11:37 p.m. With a quiet groan, he got up and walked to the door. When he opened it, the breath caught in his throat. Her. Standing there in the rain, drenched from head to toe, hair plastered to her cheeks. Eyes red, mascara streaked like ink on fragile paper. His best friend from years ago, the one who used to make him laugh when the world felt heavy. The one he hadn't seen in months. Lena, he whispered. Her lip trembled. I didn't know where else to go. For a moment, he froze. The storm roared behind her, and the silence between them felt heavier than the night air. Then he stepped aside. Come in. She walked in slowly, dripping water on his hardwood floor. He grabbed a towel and wrapped it gently around her shoulders, the warmth of his hand steadying her shaking frame. Sit, he said softly, guiding her to the couch. In a few minutes, he returned with a steaming mug of tea. She wrapped her hands around it like it was the only warmth left in the world. Jacob sat across from her, eyes full of questions but lips silent. She took a shaky breath and whispered again, almost to herself. I didn't know where else to go. The tea sat untouched on the table, steam curling into the quiet room. Jacob leaned back, studying her face under the dim lamplight. She looked broken. The girl who once lit up every room now seemed like a shadow of herself. Do you want to talk about it? His voice was low, careful, as if one wrong word might shatter her completely. She shook her head, tears glistening in her eyes. Not tonight. I couldn't stay there anymore. Everything reminded me of him. Jacob's jaw tightened. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. Whoever him was, he had hurt her. Badly. Lena, he started, but stopped himself. What could he say? Sorry. That wouldn't fix anything. Instead, he grabbed the blanket draped over the couch and gently tucked it around her shoulders. She looked up at him, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, neither spoke. The storm outside pounded against the windows, but inside, the silence was different, soft, heavy, safe. You didn't have to let me in, she whispered, her voice breaking. Of course I did, he said simply, settling on the couch beside her. You're not alone, Lena. Not here. Something inside her cracked then, not from pain, but from relief. She leaned against him slowly, hesitantly, as if afraid he might pull away. But he didn't. His arm came around her shoulders, strong and steady, holding her like she might fall apart without it. And for the first time that night, she let herself breathe. Within minutes, her eyes fluttered closed. He felt her weight grow heavier against him, her breath soft and even. Jacob sat there, unmoving, staring at the storm. And for reasons he didn't want to admit, not even to himself, he didn't want this night to end. Jacob woke to the soft sound of tiny footsteps padding down the hallway. For a second, he wondered why his neck hurt, then he realized he had fallen asleep on the couch. And she was still there. Lena. Curled up beside him under the blanket, her hair messy, face peaceful in sleep. His t-shirt hung loose on her frame, he had given it to her last night after her clothes were soaked. Seeing her like that, something stirred deep inside him. Daddy? His daughter's sleepy voice broke his thoughts. He looked over to see Emma standing in the doorway, clutching her teddy bear. Her eyes widened when she spotted Lena on the couch. Daddy, who's that? She whispered. Jacob smiled, rubbing the back of his neck. He could have said, a friend. He could have explained. But instead, the words slipped out with a grin, calm, natural, certain. "That's your new mommy." Lena stirred at his voice, blinking against the sunlight streaming through the curtains. Her gaze darted between Jacob and the little girl staring at her in wide-eyed wonder. What?" she stammered, sitting up quickly, cheeks flushing pink. Jacob chuckled, standing and stretching. "Relax, I'm just saying what I feel." He ruffled Emma's hair and added casually, "She stayed the night to make sure Daddy wasn't lonely." Emma tilted her head. "Are you staying forever?" Lena opened her mouth to protest, but the little girl's hopeful eyes stopped her cold. Her throat tightened. She couldn't answer. Jacob watched her, a smirk tugging at his lips, but behind it was something real. Something he couldn't hide anymore. And in that quiet living room, under the warmth of a new day, everything felt different. Lena stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed as she watched Jacob move around like he owned the world, shirt sleeves rolled up, frying eggs like it was just another morning. "Seriously, Jacob," she said, arching a brow. "You can't just call me that. In front of your daughter." He glanced at her over his shoulder, a slow smirk tugging at his lips. "Why not? You stayed the night, ate my food, wore my shirt, sounds official to me." Her cheeks warmed. "It was one night. For comfort." "Comfort," he repeated, amused, sliding a plate of eggs onto the table. "Yeah, I get that." He leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough for her to feel it. "But maybe you needed more than that." Her heart stuttered. He wasn't teasing, at least, not entirely. She opened her mouth to fire back, but a tiny voice cut through the tension. "Are you gonna be my mommy now?" Both of them froze. Emma stood there in her pajamas, teddy in hand, looking between them with wide, hopeful eyes. Lena knelt down quickly, forcing a smile. "Sweetheart, I'm just visiting." Emma's little face fell. "But Daddy said." Lena shot Jacob a sharp look. He only shrugged, biting back a grin. "Hey," she asked. I answered. Emma hugged Lena's leg, her voice soft. "I like you here." Lena swallowed hard, blinking away a rush of emotion. She wasn't supposed to feel this way. Not so soon. Not here. Jacob watched her quietly, and in that moment, Lena realized something terrifying. He wasn't joking this time. The day slipped by faster than either of them expected. Emma had insisted on Lena joining breakfast, watching cartoons, even sitting in her tiny tea party. And every time Lena laughed, Jacob felt something inside him settle, like this was how life was supposed to be. But now, the sun was setting, and reality loomed at the doorway. Lena stood there, shoes on, bag slung over her shoulder, heart heavy in a way she didn't want to admit. "I should go," she said softly, glancing toward the little girl who had fallen asleep on the couch clutching her teddy. "She's amazing, Jacob. You're doing such a good job with her." Jacob leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, eyes locked on hers. "You don't have to leave." Lena forced a smile. "I do. This was just a night, remember?" He stepped closer, closing the space between them. His voice dropped, steady and low. "Lena. I wasn't joking this morning." Her breath caught. "You mean when you called me?" "Yeah." His gaze softened, stripping away every trace of humor. "I meant it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I want that to be real. For me. For her." Her pulse thundered in her ears. Every wall she'd built trembled. "Jacob," she whispered, 1,000 reasons to walk away colliding with the one reason to stay, him. "Don't go," he said simply. She stared at him, then at Emma sleeping peacefully inside. And before she could think, she nodded, just barely, but enough. Jacob reached out, pulling her into him, holding her like a promise he would never break. And in the quiet of that doorway, with the storm long gone, they both knew, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning.